to fight or to flight, to face or to run away. This was the decision that the people of Israel had to take before the Goliath. And the vast majority, actually 100% of the people of Israel, with the exception of David, decided to flight from Goliath. The Holy Text says that every man in Israel, when they saw Goliath, they ran away from before him, and they feared him dreadfully. Obviously, the strategy of the Philistines worked. It was exactly that. It was to scare. You can imagine when the captain of the Philistine army found out about this young man who was a giant, who had a superior height compared to every other man from Philistia or from other nations. This army captain said, "Let's train this man to be a soldier. He will be a secret weapon for us." And the strategy of Philistia, it worked, which was to threaten, to scare the enemies. So just by the sight of the Goliath, men feared him dreadfully and ran from him. And it's something that you need to be very attentive, because the Word of God teaches to not be guided by sight. We cannot be sight-oriented. We cannot be guided by what we see. Those who live by faith, live in the world of faith, lives by the invisible, believes in the invisible. As it says there, the Moses believed in the invisible. And all the great heroes of faith, they had to practice that at some point, to not look at the situation. I know it's hard because it's a great conflict. Your eyes shows you something. Inside of you, you want something else, but the eyes are showing something else, the contrary. So it's natural that you may be filled with fear. Natural to those who are natural. Natural to those who are natural men, natural people. So all the men of Israel, even though they believed in God, they decided to be taken away by the eyes. And they were filled with fear. And when they were filled with fear, they ran away. So between fighting and flighting, they fled. Because those who don't believe that they are in the same level as the enemy, they flee, of course, for them to fight for their own survival. So the first action of theirs was to run away. But David had a different attitude. The Holy Text says that when David saw Goliath, he did not have the reaction of saying, "Look at his size." No, his reaction was to be insulted by the words of that Goliath. The same reaction that a person has when someone insults your mom or your dad. You see that practically in every languages, a way of insult is for you to curse the mother or the father of the person, especially the mother. In every language, that is done. That's interesting, that when you want to insult a person, you insult the mother, the father of that person. David felt that insult because he saw himself as a child of God. So when he heard Goliath insulting his father, his God, he said, "Not now. This cannot be like this." So his reaction was not to see, his reaction was to hear what those words meant, and within himself, having a total trust in his God, in the God of Israel, so he had the full assurance that his God was greater, more powerful, stronger than Goliath, to the point of deciding to face in him. We only face when we believe in the possibility of victory. And David had the assurance, not only a belief on the possibility, no, he had assurance. He went with peace. The text says that he ran. He hurried and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. So he went towards it. He went towards it, towards Goliath. he went to give in the face, let's put this way, of Goliath, because he did not fear in his heart. So these two reactions, to fight or to flight, are reactions that are within each human beings. Actually, studies are being made about the survival of human beings, survival of civilizations, and even human race, even the theoreticals of evolution, or the law of the strongest one, isn't it? Because they believe that only the strongest ones, they survive. In certain way, it's true. Only the strongest ones, they survive because they believe. And the weak ones, they swallowed up. So the law of survival is for you to be the strongest one, for you to face the threats. But this strength does not come from the arms. This strength cannot come by your human condition. Many people seek for strength, as the Holy Text says. Many trust in horses, others in chariots, isn't it? But we trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord. So our strength does not come by horses, which means weaponry. Even though Israel had to have weaponry, because a nation that has to go to war, they need to have swords, they need to have shields, weaponry, which means we need to have what is needed, humanly speaking, to help us. You need to study. If you are going to do a work, you are going to prepare it for a profession, you have to study for it. A knowledge that you need, that you will need, weapons that you will need, but you cannot lean on your own understanding. Because the Word of God says that God is the one who teaches all things. Study, but trust in the author of intelligence, science, and wisdom. Deposit your wisdom in Him. You need to go to the doctor, go. It's not a sin for you to go to the doctor. If the doctors are working to heal, so they're working alongside with God. I know that there are bad doctors, that they only work to make money. They invent diseases, treatments, that the patient may spend more money, isn't it? I know that. There are good and bad in every field. But in a general view, the doctors are working for the well-being of the patient, so they are working alongside with God. Go to the doctor, but don't put your trust, your final, total trust in the doctor. You need to put in God, because He's the one who heals. This is the action, the attitudes that lead us to face the problems. There seems to be giants greater than us. The attitudes to know that He who is inside of us is greater than the one that is outside. This was the faith of David. That's why he faced it. That's why David didn't run away. He faced the Goliath and the enemies of Israel throughout his entire life. That's why he was victorious. Do you want to be victorious? So first of all, you have to have pact, covenant with God. The only one who guarantees that you will have victory over all your enemies, because there's no one greater than Him. He is the giant that you need to have inside of you. If you have this giant within you, the greatest of all giants, so there will be no giant on the outside that will be able to resist you, to threaten you, to scare you. So either with a small stone, with a sword, or with a word, or a blow of air, all these giants will fall down before the giant that is within you. But the question is He inside of you? Do you have covenant, pact with Him? Otherwise, run for your life.
Did you like this? Would you like to hear it again? Listen to it as many times as you need until this content becomes part of you. Don't forget to leave your like, comment, and share. See you next time.